One day, you'll do something for the 1000th time and realize that single moment didn't change your life. The 999 times before it did. That's the secret almost everyone overlooks. Your future isn't built by one incredible decision. It's built by ordinary decisions, made often enough that they become who you are. Welcome back, warrior. If you're new here, I'm glad you found us. Before we begin, I want to ask one thing of you. For the next few minutes, don't just listen. Reflect. Set your phone down if you can. Take one slow breath. Give yourself permission to think about the person you're becoming. Let's begin. We live in a world that's obsessed with dramatic moments. The overnight success, the breakthrough, and the transformation, the before and after picture, the viral story, the championship celebration. We love the finish line because it's easy to see. But almost nobody pays attention to the thousands of ordinary days that made that finish line possible. The world celebrates the result. Life is built in the repetition. Think about the strongest person you know. Maybe they're physically strong. Maybe they're emotionally steady. Maybe they're someone who always keeps their word. Whatever makes you admire them, I can almost guarantee it wasn't built in one day. Strength rarely arrives all at once. It arrives quietly. One workout, one difficult conversation, one early morning, one honest decision, one promise kept, then another and another, until one day people call it talent, when it was really repetition all along. I think this is why so many people become discouraged. They judge their progress by today's results instead of today's actions. They look in the mirror after a week. Nothing has changed. They check the business after a month. Growth is slow. They practice a new skill for a while. They still feel average. So they stop. Not because repetition wasn't working, because repetition hadn't finished working yet. Nature has never been in a hurry. An oak tree doesn't rush. A river doesn't force its way downstream overnight. Mountains aren't carved in an afternoon. The strongest things in existence are usually shaped by time, not intensity. Yet we expect our own lives to transform immediately. Maybe we've been measuring progress with the wrong clock. Imagine watching a sculptor carve a block of stone. You walk into the workshop and see them strike the stone once. Nothing happens. Again. Nothing. Again. Still nothing you can see. Then, after hundreds of strikes, the stone finally cracks. Most people watching would say, that last strike broke it. But we know that's not true. Every strike mattered. The final one simply revealed what the previous ones had been building. Your habits work exactly the same way. One workout rarely changes a body. One book rarely changes a mind. One conversation rarely changes a relationship. One disciplined day rarely changes a life. But repeat those actions long enough, and eventually people wonder how everything changed. The answer is almost always the same. Nothing changed overnight. It changed every day. One of the biggest traps in self-improvement is believing that big goals require big actions. Sometimes they do. But more often, they require small actions repeated with extraordinary consistency. Think about brushing your teeth. It's such a small act that it barely feels important. Skip it once, probably nothing happens. Skip it for 6 months. Everything changes. Life quietly rewards repetition, whether it's positive or negative. That's why habits are so powerful. Every habit is casting a vote, not just for what you'll accomplish, for who you'll become. Every time you read instead of scroll, you cast a vote. Every time you train instead of making excuses, another vote. Every time you tell the truth when lying would be easier, another vote. Most people think identity creates habits. I think habits create identity. Because after enough repetitions, your actions become your answer to the question, who am I? I remember hearing someone say, the chains of habit are too weak to be felt until they're too strong to be broken. That sentence stayed with me. Because it's true in both directions. Good habits feel insignificant until one day they become your greatest strength. Bad habits feel harmless until one day they become your greatest limitation. The scary part is that both are being built quietly every single day. I think people often overestimate what they can accomplish in 1 month and underestimate what they can accomplish in 5 years. 5 years of reading, 5 years of training, 5 years of keeping your promises, 5 years of protecting your mornings, 5 years of refusing to quit. You wouldn't just have different results. You'd be a different person. That's the real power of repetition. It doesn't just change what you have, it changes who you become. Imagine your future self walking through your current daily routine, watching every decision you make, not judging you, simply observing. Would they recognize the habits that eventually created their life? Or would they quietly wonder why you keep expecting a different future while repeating the same present? Because that's one of the hardest truths I've had to accept. Your routine is already creating your future, whether you realize it or not. And once you truly understand that, you stop searching for dramatic breakthroughs. You start protecting ordinary days. Because ordinary days, repeated enough times, become extraordinary lives. The question is, what kind of life are your repetitions building? There is something almost invisible about repetition. It doesn't ask for recognition. It doesn't make headlines. Most days, it doesn't even feel important. You wake up, you keep one promise, you make one better choice, you finish one piece of work, then the day ends. Nothing dramatic happened, no applause, no breakthrough, just another ordinary day. And that's exactly why most people underestimate its power. Imagine laying one brick on an empty piece of land. If someone walked by, they probably wouldn't stop to look. It would seem meaningless. Now imagine laying one brick every single day. Eventually there would be walls, then rooms, then a roof. One day someone would stand in front of a finished home and admire it. What they wouldn't see are the thousands of quiet mornings when another single brick was placed. Your character is built exactly the same way. One decision at a time. I think we spend too much time searching for the perfect strategy, the perfect planner, the perfect routine, the perfect app, the perfect time to begin. But the people who quietly change their lives aren't usually obsessed with optimization. They're obsessed with consistency. Because the greatest routine in the world means nothing if you only follow it for 3 days. A simple routine followed for 3 years will outperform the perfect routine abandoned after 3 weeks. Consistency beats intensity almost every time. That's one of the reasons I believe discipline is actually an act of self-respect. Every time you repeat a good habit, you're sending a message to yourself. My future matters. Every time you protect your routine instead of your excuses, You're saying, I refuse to sacrifice tomorrow for today's comfort. Those messages don't disappear. They accumulate. They become belief. Eventually, belief becomes identity. Think about a river. A river doesn't cut through rock because it's the strongest force in nature. It cuts through rock because it never stops flowing. Persistence accomplishes what power alone often cannot. Your habits work the same way. Small actions, repeated long enough, become impossible to resist. Not because they're extraordinary, because they're relentless. I've noticed something about people who stay consistent for years. They don't rely on emotion. They rely on systems. They remove unnecessary decisions. They prepare before they need motivation. They know difficult days are coming, so they build routines that survive difficult days. That's what systems do. They carry you when feelings cannot. Motivation gets you moving. Systems keep you moving. There will be mornings when you don't feel disciplined. There will be evenings when quitting sounds reasonable. There will be weeks when progress feels invisible. Those moments don't mean the process has stopped working. They usually mean the process is working exactly as it should. Roots grow before branches. Foundations are poured before walls. Strength is built before it's seen. Don't confuse invisible progress with no progress. They're rarely the same thing. 1 year from now, you probably won't remember today's date. You won't remember what you had for lunch. You won't remember every task you completed. But the habits you repeated today will still be shaping your life. That's what makes repetition so powerful. Individual days disappear. Patterns remain. Your life isn't the sum of your most exciting moments. It's the sum of your repeated ones. So maybe stop asking, what huge thing should I do to change my life? Ask something smaller. What's worth repeating tomorrow? Because that's the real question. Not what impresses people, not what creates instant results. What deserves to become part of your daily life? Protect those things. Guard them. Repeat them until they become automatic. Imagine looking back 5 years from now, not with regret, with gratitude. Grateful that you kept showing up when nothing seemed to be changing. Grateful that you trusted the process before the results appeared. Grateful that you stopped chasing dramatic transformations and started respecting ordinary days. That version of you won't thank you for one incredible moment. They'll thank you for the thousands of ordinary moments you refuse to waste. So here's what I want you to remember when this video ends. Stop looking for the breakthrough. Become the repetition. Stop waiting for the perfect day. Protect today's habits. Stop measuring success by excitement. Measure it by consistency. Because every ordinary day is placing another brick, another vote, another route, another step toward the person you're becoming. You don't need to change your life today. You need to repeat the right things today. Then repeat them tomorrow, and the day after that. One day you'll wake up and people will call your life extraordinary. They'll wonder what your secret was. You'll smile, because you'll know there never was one. There were only thousands of ordinary decisions, made when no one was watching. And those ordinary decisions quietly became an extraordinary life. That's how greatness is built. Not in moments, in repetition.